My name is Kayla.
And my name is Matt.
And welcome to the Len and Ear podcast.
We are going to talk about disability community.
And I want everybody to understand that you're not alone to speak up.
But we have trivia as well.
I wear Crocs, guys, if you guys did not know.
So you heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, guys, this is shocking.
Welcome
back,
guys,
guys,
to episode 3 of the Lend
and Ear podcast.
Getting better at doing it in unison.
And today we have my transition coordinator, Annie and Francesca. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
You're very
Thanks
welcome.
for having us.
We've been waiting for this interview, guys, if you guys did not know.
Also, our first special guest, our first interview.
For honor.
So, Annie and Francesca, you are adult transition coordinators. What is your exact title?
Transition coordinators is our title, but to young adults, 18 to 21 year olds.
Can you tell us a little bit, what does that mean?
Well, I could say for students or young adults before they, or the years prior to their age out of school, usually that's the 18 to 21-year-old age group, and Kayla learned that a little bit this year. But in America, you have until 21 to finish high school or free public schooling. So all the students we work with are in that age group. So we're helping these students and their families prepare for what comes next.
Yeah, we look into programs. So what would be appropriate for each student after they graduate. We do a lot of person-centered preparation for the students and person-centered planning. So if students want to get a job or want to be a part of a group program, we kind of link them with what would be fitting for them, and also depending where they live.
That's the big step about my program so far. We recently had a lot of students that is actually in Melissa Riggio, a couple of my classmates that went to Melissa Riggio. Shout out to Emily and Kiana. Those people got into the program.
Super competitive program in the 5 boroughs, now 5 boroughs, that only accepts 5 applicants per borough each school year. And that would be a college experience program where the students kind of get to experience the college life. They participate in a few college classes each semester. It's a 3 to 4 year long program, depending on which school you go to. But until about, I would say, last 2 years, maybe, it was fully funded through the state. Now there might be a cost attached to it, but it would be a low cost since it's through one of the CUNY schools. So definitely it's still going to be funded a lot by the state and Medicaid funding, but it's very competitive, and we've had a lot of Cooke alumni get accepted, so we're very excited.
Yeah, this year we have 4 Cooke students, and like Kayla said, 2 of them are her friends, so that's exciting.
So that's pretty competitive, exclusive. Sounds like a great program. I don't know, what else is out there for folks who are not able to do that?
Travel training is a big thing, as Kayla knows, at our school, and something we encourage so much to students and their families, so that they could be independent travelers in the city. And that could mean so much. It doesn't necessarily have to be you're traveling on your own on this bus or the train, but really just knowing like what it means to be safe, or if I get lost in the community, what do I do? So we really try to encourage that. Like Annie said, a lot of our job is more so like referring students and families to these other services or outside services. Of course, our school provides like a lot of the support, but really trying to make it so that, families and students are not dependent just on us, like they're able to access outside resources. Because again, at 21, you leave school, like that's not the end all be all of transition. We know as like adults, what we did out of high school is probably not what we're doing right now, or we've done so many things in between. It's kind of like, what's next? Like, what is next in your 21 to 25-year-old life, right, Kayla? Like,
yeah,
Maybe you want to be an independent traveler. Maybe you want to just work on your job skills,
Mm-hmm.
um, work on the soft skills or the hard skills, right? I know Kayla's really interested in potentially doing something with childcare. So
Yeah.
that could mean in the future also like you want to get CPR certified or something like that. We would help hook up Kayla and her family to a support system that can help with that. Also, and Annie, tell me if I'm forgetting stuff. Again, Annie said before, like the group programs, those tend to be a lot of times for people who are very interested in, improving or working on their social skills, just building social relationships while still having that kind of like day to day, 5 day type of schedule, because leaving school is a big step. And we know that people with disabilities, it tends to be better to have a routine, at least definitely when you're coming out of school. So something that kind of mimics some of that, what was happening in school life, is just a lot less academic work is happening after you graduate, just because it's not through the school system. It's something families kind of have to pursue on their own, or just find like a specialty program or somewhere that would provide it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but right, people still need structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of goals too, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
we definitely talk about goals. A part of Francesca and my job is teaching a class to each cohort. So we teach one class a week to Kayla's cohort, and we discuss a lot about goals and goals that the students want to have. And Francesca and I then will also send out general goals to the staff, so they know what should be being worked on with each student throughout the year, depending and as we start to learn more where the students are going. So, like, besides programs, a lot of people look into residential programs. So, going to live somewhere. So, if that's the case, Francesca and I kind of set up what each student should be focusing on. So, like she said, travel training, we'll let staff know, make sure the student's a leader in the community, money management, speaking up for themselves, advocacy, which it's awesome that Kayla is doing this podcast and a part of Blend doing that. So that's a big part of transitions in general, just getting them ready for their independence.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
That likes to do
I
the
don't.
baseball.
I don't mean to seem like I am not taking you serious.
No, no,
I,
into it. And Kayla
It's
deserved it.
I know, yeah.
but you mentioned something hard skills and soft skills. What does that mean?
Yeah, hard skills tend to be like the traditional work skills, I guess, that we might think about. If you're a lifeguard, you have to know how to swim, right? If you are working like a mechanic, you have to know how to actually work those tools that are needed to fix the car or just know about the car in general. So it tends to be skills that you may learn on the job or ones that you really need to perform the job. And then Kayla knows a lot about this because we're working on the soft skills a
Yeah,
lot. That's really
actually,
what we push
for
at
this
school.
semester, actually,
Yeah,
we are
soft
talking.
skills are all about those professionalism skills or skills that are needed to actually keep the job. So
Hmm.
I could be amazing at my job, but if I'm late to work every day, does that really matter? Not really, right? If I call out and never tell anyone, like have a
Mm.
substantial reason why. So just more so like being professional at work, getting to work on time, um, self advocacy when necessary, right? A lot of those skills are really, really a lot of what we talk about, not just in transition class, but kind of school wide. Because those are, we think, sometimes the harder skills. Our students are great at learning on the job, but just those other skills are a little bit more difficult to remember or use in the moment when needed.
So I wonder if you have advice for anyone that's in the transition coordinator. Do you guys have any advice for that? For someone that want to work at your type of job?
Like be a transition coordinator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's a great job to have. It's a very needed job for schools and for people with disabilities. I would say if it's something you want to do, depending what you go to school for, you would need a master's. Francesca and I both have masters. They're in different things. I have a master's in social work because there is a big part of being a transition coordinator is also supporting the families. It's a big change So Kayla, you've been with Cooke for a really long time. So moving on
Yes.
is going to be really difficult and different for you, and I'm sure for your mom who's been involved in that with you. So I would say, a social work degree is nice because there is counseling that kind of works in that. So I think if someone is in the social work world, they should look into transition coordination. I would also say to just, depending where people live, to start understanding the resources around you and what's available to people with disabilities, what you can refer them to. I don't know, Francesca, do you have more to add to that?
Yeah. No, I agree with all of that. I'm thinking someone who's organized. As our school tends to get bigger, our caseloads have grown. We kind of have to manage students who are aging out, and then also students who are new in the school and might have 4 years.
Mhm.
So just like figuring out like priority wise, like everyone's a priority, right? But how do we make sure that we're getting all the things done that are need to get done? Something with our job, it's already spring, it's April 5th. A lot of teachers and other staff are like, oh, we're almost at the end of the school year. But for Annie and I, it's very different. They kind of like want to hurry and finish the year.
Oh, they
It
do.
kind of have an end in sight, but June 20th, transition's not over, right? Like your transition from school doesn't really end.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd still do work kind of over the summer, but at the same time, like we'll work with students after you graduate just because the adult service world, just like we know in regular jobs, they don't start and end. They kind of just keep going. So programs might not have openings until September. So we kind of have to look at that and see, who's on a wait list, who maybe just got into a new program and they're starting during the summer. How can we make sure they have all the stuff they need? So it's just a lot of juggling that you kind of have to keep track of. I think that's why Annie and I work as like a really good team because we're able to bounce stuff off of each other and like we remind each other constantly, like, oh, I know you're working on this with someone, like don't forget to do that. Or I just learned about this program. I think it'd be great for this student.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, having a partner definitely is also helpful, not being alone in the job. Because yeah, we like bounce a lot off of each other, and I think we work as a really good team that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
Francesca, I might be in an interview with a student for a residential program, and it might not be a fit for that student I'm with, but I might be able to tell Francesca, oh, for so
mhm.
and so, I think you should look into this. So it is really
Mhm.
helpful.
Does every program have a transition coordinator?
I would say DOE, like it works very differently over there.
Hmm.
I don't know if I don't know honestly. If every school has a transition coordinator, but I do know that most schools do have them. Like as far as like if it's a District 75 school, and those are like the schools specialized for special ed programs. But like if it was a school with more typical students, like they may not necessarily have a transition coordinator, but each borough definitely has, at least for DOE. And
Mm-hmm.
then like when you go into more specialty schools or schools like ours, sometimes they will have one, sometimes they don't. So like um Cook has our site, the transition site, and then there's the upper school and the middle school.
The
What is it?
middle
Upper school,
school,
middle
the
school, and
middle
lower
school,
school.
lower
Um,
school.
but only our site and the high school technically have transition coordinators. There is no transition coordinator at the lower school and middle school.
No, no.
Hmm.
So a lot of times the high school transition coordinator will, support and send messages down to those parents or reach out to them like if they need some help. But, you know, our site doesn't even have at each school.
Yeah, I think a lot of times schools, if they have a transition coordinator, and especially in the DOE, it's like one per so many schools.
Hmm.
So you might not be getting the right amount of attention depending what their caseload is. So what is nice about Cook is that there is Francesca and I, and right there is a transition coordinator at the high school. Because besides the programs we link the students to, there's also a lot of services like OPWDD, SSI, Medicaid. Having her at the high school, since students usually come to us, it's nice. She makes sure that they are all linked to those services so that we can like really focus on programming then for each student.
But so, do you have any advice or resources, like for a parent who's maybe not, like you said, in one of those programs that isn't experiencing that they're getting enough attention, or maybe they don't have a transition coordinator and they're kind of freaking out, or they don't have those connections
Yeah,
yet?
I think if you are in the New York area and linked to OPWDD, you're then linked to a care coordination service. Your care coordinator can kind of act as a transition coordinator. It's a similar job of linking you to the appropriate programs. They might not be able to get to know you as well, but they're creating your life plan, so they know you pretty well. And so I think if you have one that's not great, to kind of keep advocating for yourself, to push that the person's not meeting the needs for you, and especially what your child may need.
Yeah, definitely OPWDD is like the way to go. We recommend for all students, families to apply, even if they're unsure if they'll be eligible, just because they have tons of resources. And through that, they do have like non-Medicaid service coordinators. So those might be for people who may not be eligible for, like, maybe their child is not able to get those services. They can still reach out to them and find out, like, explain the situation and say, like, I need help with these things. Like, they should be able to link you up. There are tons of support agencies that we've learned about. So, like, New York City Fair, or NY Fair is one of them, that was created by two moms with like children who are now, I think, both adults. Well, no, I know they're both adults with developmental disabilities, and they literally started that advocacy support for just families to like talk and chat and share news and things like that. So unfortunately for parents, and there's so many of them who like don't have the services they need or don't even know what services they need, like they do really have to do a lot of advocacy to try to find out. um I would say sometimes doctors will like kind of notice something may be up, and they are, if they're helpful enough or have the knowledge, I know sometimes they'll refer or tell families you should check this out. But sometimes it is hard. Like, you really just hope that a teacher or someone notices. If the parent doesn't notice or doesn't know where to go, like someone can like hook them up with either a D75 school or one of those types of agencies.
Yeah, depending the school they're in, if they aren't linked with anyone and if it's not a specialized school, hopefully the school would have the resources if they went to them. But there are also private paid practices that tend to be expensive, but
Mm.
we've worked with families who do that on the outside, and those people are also learning what's out there to provide those programs to you to take a look at.
Are you ready for trivia questions?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Matt, do you have one actually, Matt? If you have one, because you
Uh,
usually do the
I
trivia.
can. Were you planning?
I have a knock knock joke.
Okay, should we start with the knock knock joke or end with the knock knock joke?
Uh, let's start with the knock knock joke.
Okay, folks, it's our trivia slash knock knock joke
Knock joke.
portion of the
Yay.
day.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Avocado.
Avocado who?
Avocado.
Avocado all around the world. That's actually a joke me and Annie and Francesca does at lunch.
Oh,
Oh.
Is
oh,
Oh gosh.
I do a
oh,
lot of jokes in my class a lot.
yeah, you do
God,
be funny.
jokester.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Um, avocado around the world? That's the joke.
What does that mean?
I make up that joke. I always make jokes. They could tell you. I always make jokes a
Right,
lot.
right.
That is a funny lady.
Mhm.
Right. I don't know if I get it, Kayla. I don't know if it's me.
Well, it's a made up what I did today.
Oh,
Oh, I
It's
like
something
it.
that I
I like
made
the
up.
energy.
this episode's trivia. Can you name celebrities with neurodevelopmental disabilities?
I know Anthony Hopkins.
Hmm.
has autism, I believe.
And he's a very talented man.
Yeah, and look at
Well,
him, very successful.
but I
Mm-hmm.
think he found out later in life.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I remember reading an article that he did find out like very late, but that he said it made sense to a lot of his behaviors, like when he was on set and how he communicated with people.
Yeah, and he would memorize the script, I believe, like perfectly.
Well, it was I was gonna say what's cool about looking into the celebrities with trivia and what the celebrities with disabilities and what their disabilities are. Something
Mm-hmm.
Francesca and I talk a lot about with the students in class is knowing what their disability is and being able to understand what their disability is. Not that they ever have to share that with an employer or anything, but so that's what's really cool about Kayla being a part of this and doing this is understanding herself better because and being able to share that. So it's cool too to learn about the celebrities and what their disabilities are so people can relate to them who might have the same disability.
Yeah.
I think it's a great point that you should understand your own disability and what your needs are. That's how you can advocate yourself. And to bring up that you don't always have to share, you can choose who you share that information with, what your disability
Mm-hmm.
is, to in terms of how comfortable you are sharing that, or what's necessary in a certain situation.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys. Now it's the time to go. Spring break.
I was, it
I'm
was like,
very
get these people off of here.
excited. Spring break.
You're you are ready to be on your spring break.
Yes, spring break started around 12 o'clock. Well, my spring break starts at 12 o'clock at night.
Oh, you mean like midnight? Because
Yes, midnight,
right.
midnight, midnight, midnight.
All right.
Midnight.
So at
Mid,
midnight, Kayla will be celebrating that she's on.
Right. As you're working right now, we're about to have do some stuff with Lens, actually.
yep.
Before we sign off immediately, was there any other questions you wanted to get to? Seems like there wasn't.
I just want to say thank you guys for joining our podcast. It means a lot to me. And yeah, it really means a lot. I really like it so far.
Oh, well, thank
Yeah,
you
thank
for
you.
having us.
Exactly. I hope we gave some good information.
I hope so.
I
Um,
think you guys did good.
All right, good. Is there anything you can think of about transitions to share
Um,
that you know Francesca and I do?
they actually helped me with my interview for Len. Annie's the one that did the interview for Len for me. So shout out to Annie. There she is, guys. For those people that don't know. Yesterday, me and Francesca and some of our classmates um were doing applying to our summer school for the for the high school or the lower classmen as a professional para.
mm,
So
yeah, I don't
that's
know what grade. I don't think a grade was posted, but to work during summer school,
I probably guess the little kids maybe
maybe.
Mhm.
older. Who
But
knows?
yeah, I think that was a good like practice and kind of prep, right? Like
Yeah.
you guys had to kind of think back. They like updated cover letters, they updated their resumes. Most of it, they like kind of troubleshooted stuff together. Like I didn't even really need to help,
Mhm.
which I think was good because like you kind of had a team and you guys were working together.
Yeah,
I
Chef
think that's really
Jackie.
important as you graduate, right? Like, yeah, you will have your care manager or other support people, but the fact that you had like two other young people like you and you guys are all going through the same thing at the same time, I think
Mm-hmm.
that's really important. Like, I hope that you guys can continue that kind of into the future.
Yeah.
Um, just because I think that's really important. You guys all like kind of understand, what kind of things you needed help with, and you guys all had different strengths, so you were able to work together and
Hmm.
get that done, which is really good.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah, what's cool is for me, I used to work at Cook and then I left Cook. If it wasn't for Francesca and another coworker, John, I wouldn't have come back to Cook because I
Shout out
wouldn't have
to John.
known. I wouldn't have known about the open position. So yeah, just like Francesca said, it is cool for you guys to keep those connections and to use one another for the future with jobs or programs that you both might like. But yeah, we did help Kayla get ready for her Lens interview, and it was virtual. But a big push with Kayla, we talk a lot about dressing professional, right? Kayla
Oh,
loves
don't start with
Yeah,
that.
yellow t-shirts.
They did
Kayla
not let
loves
me
Crocs,
please
so we talk about that a lot.
because I wear Crocs, guys. If you guys did not know, they told me I could not wear Crocs, so I was like, I'm done right now. I can't do this. So I said, I'll do it.
So
That's
what
what I did.
what is a professional outfit, Kayla?
A professional outfit is I can wear a long sleeves, like a sweater for an instance. I can wear my black pants, and some flats and a nice hairdo. Ah.
But yeah, so things like that, Kayla works on throughout the whole school. That's something that's being worked at, but definitely in transition,
Oh,
we talk about
And
that.
that would be a soft skill,
yep,
right? Dressing professionally.
Yeah,
yep,
Well, Annie and Francesca, thank you so much
yeah.
for
Thank you
joining us.
guys.
And listeners at
yeah,
home,
Thank
this is
you.
fun. Well, enjoy your spring break, Kayla.
Thank you
Mhm.
guys. I appreciate it. Bye.